Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Today we're doing a deep dive into our latest feature on the Quranic app, Clips. We're here with Imam Adam Jamal, the founder of Quranic, to talk about this new feature, how it came to fruition, and what he expects and wants to see in the future of the Quranic app and its community. Thank you very much for joining us today, Imam Adam Jamal.
Barakallahu Feek, Laith. Really appreciate everything that you've done so far for the team and everything that you've contributed. Alhamdulillah, I'm really excited for this new feature. It's called Quran Clips. And essentially, what it is an additional way to really build a community of people that are passionate about the Quran and want to share their recitation and want to inspire others. I think what started this was, wouldn't it be great if there was a way that you could listen to the average everyday person recite the Quran? Of course, we have our beautiful reciters who recite and who we enjoy their recitations, but sometimes you just want to see, when you're a child, you want to see another child recite. When you're an elder, you want to see another elder recite. You want to see someone who looks like your age or looks like your background, and you want to feel inspired by all the people that can involve themselves and are passionate about the Quran. And it can also be a way for us to celebrate the many reciters that recite beautifully in all kinds of different styles that we may never have heard before, in melodies that are so beautiful from around the world. And my vision is that one day, inshallah, we'll be able to listen to the whole Quran from Fatiha all the way to Nas, from the first surah to the last surah, and each surah is recited by someone different. That would be a beautiful vision. It would be like a world Quran recitation, mashallah.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to this feature that we've released, and let's see what's next, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you for sharing a bit of that vision as well. I think we'll get a bit more into that. It's quite exciting to hear of this whole compiled Quran of everyone's recitations. But that's the next page, I think. I remember, it reminds me of when I first encountered this idea of brothers reciting together, the Quran together, especially coaching each other as well. I think the first time I saw that, especially when I was at university, I saw that there was brothers that looked like me, students like me. I was like, how on earth do these students have time to deeply study the Quran and the recitation of it at the same time of being like a student of something like engineering? I was like, how can this be a thing? But I was proven hugely wrong. There was lots of brothers that could read impeccably well, dedicated huge amounts of time. I remember just seeing brothers just between classes just trying to memorize and just reciting all the way front to back. I was just in shock. I was like, how can you retain that much information? But it's a huge inspiration. So I'm really excited to see some of those examples on here as well. I think it's going to be an inspiration to lots of people. I want to start from the beginning and just talk about and ask you to expand a little on how this started, a bit about how the Quranic app kind of came to be where it is today, and when we started to work on this and where the idea came from.
Yeah, I think the way the idea came about is actually, it goes all the way back to COVID. So during COVID, people were at home and they were locked away, and they didn't have this sense of community. So we launched a feature called reading rooms, where people could come together and recite Quran together in a live audio type of way, which was also something you saw in other apps like Twitter and Clubhouse and so on. And so we wanted to bring that to the Quran. Uh, and that really helped to basically create this community of Quran lovers who love to recite to each other and help each other. And we started to realize that this sister, when we started talking to people more and more, just logging onto the app and talking to people, we found this sister who lives in the middle of nowhere in America, doesn't have any masjid nearby, but she learned how to read the Quran in an excellent manner because she was logging on every night and reading with people, and they were helping her. And she was reading, mashallah, with Tajweed, and I just thought, wow, this is such a wonderful way that she didn't have to hire a Quran tutor. She didn't have to move in order to get closer to a masjid, which would be a beautiful thing, but not everyone has that ability, right? And so the fact that she could access it wherever she was, and she did it for free, was such a beautiful thing. And we said, well, what is the next step of this? Like, where can we level this up to the next level to really get even more of a community feeling? And that's where we had this idea of what if people could upload their recitations, to share it with other Muslims that are passionate about the Quran, to get feedback, to listen to others. So we're really excited about this, because it was another way to really build that community, and that's what we're looking forward to. And honestly, and building that community in a halal way, right? Because you go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, you go on these other social media, and you find that there's all kinds of things on there, and you really have to, say, I don't want to see this. 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 You have to do that
Exactly.
so much, and like basically curate your feed, and still you will see things that you shouldn't see or you don't want to see, right? Because that's the way these algorithms work. But with this, the focus is going to be 100% on Quran. Every video is moderated. We make sure that there's no junk on the platform. And so we're looking forward to people taking it up. And alhamdulillah, I've been so surprised. We just kind of launched a test version, and I've been so surprised that people are already uploading, alhamdulillah, and they're enjoying it, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I think I really resonate with what you talk about with community. As in, I think from quite early on working at Quranic, I quickly recognized, I think the community on our app is one of the most valuable things we had as a company. I saw these people that completely out of their own, time, out of their own resources, would spend lots and lots of time coaching and tutoring others on our app on the other side of the world, hadn't even seen their face before, just their voice, just the way they read the Quran. They recognize each other from their voices. It's crazy. Um, that dedicate their time to our app, so that others can reach that stage of advanced tajweed and reading the Quran fluently and well. When I saw that, I was like, this is the biggest thing we have, is that there's people that want to do this. So I'm really happy that our next big feature is another thing that gives something back to that community that we've cultured, and that are still staying with the Quran. I'm glad we're taking that step.
Yeah, we've essentially turned the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَ, like into what is the app version of that? The best of you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches it. So like, what's the app
Yeah,
version of that hadith?
yeah.
That's essentially what the vision is for reading rooms, at least, and even for our new clips feature, inshallah.
So I thought we could go into a little bit, just take a dive deep into how the actual process of filming and uploading works. If someone wants to start using the clips feature, they've just downloaded the new update, what do they have to do?
Well, first they have to at least finish at least one lesson in the app. We just created that barrier just to kind of make sure that, hey, anyone can't just create a new account and then just upload anything. So we wanted to have a little bit of a barrier, like, hey, you're part of this already, so you have to complete at least one Arabic lesson for free, and then you open up your Quran tab, and you'll see a little plus sign at the top. You tap on the plus sign, and you'll have the opportunity to share your recitation. So you tap to share your recitation, and you record a video. Currently, there's no way to upload a video that you've recorded, pre-recorded. It's just the video is made as you press the recording button. You also choose the surah and the verse that you're going to recite. So you can actually see it displayed. That was actually a very important thing for us. It's like, okay, if you record on TikTok or Instagram or these other social media, like what makes recording on this app different, and how can we make it easier specifically for people to record Quran? So you
Yeah,
don't have to have a separate mushaf, you don't have to have a separate app. You just you don't have to have it in front of you somewhere. You don't have to have it memorized necessarily. You would just type in the verse that you're looking for. It'll show you the verse while you record, and so you can read the verse off of the screen, record your recitation, finish your recording, and then watch it before you upload it. And when you upload it, then it is going to require moderation. So someone will get to it within 24 hours. We'll watch it. We'll make sure that it is Quran and nothing else. We do have some AI things that kind of automate that for us. But for at least at this beginning stage, we want to make sure that we have the human touch, until we make sure that all these algorithms work properly.
definitely. I think that moderation part is a big piece of this, isn't it? Because it's being different from every other social media platform. Back to your point of not being Instagram and TikTok, there is Islamic content on there, and I related to when you said don't recommend. I've done that for so long on my own feed at this point, and now everything is halal. But now I don't use Instagram in fear of the feed becoming not halal. Now I've made it perfect. Now I just leave it. Now I don't use the app. So we can't really do that with our app because we want people to trust that there's not going to be that non-halal content
Exactly.
that they can then just start populating and finding its way through. There's no risk of that. Whereas with other platforms, there'll always be that. You have to continuously trim and make sure that the algorithms, knowing that you just want the halal stuff.
Yeah.
If only there was like a button for that. But alhamdulillah, we have this to offer instead. Is there going to be a way for our users to interact with other clips they see on the platform as well, like and comment?
Yeah, so currently you can like a video. We're using the likes not as a way of kind of I know that likes become like this addictive thing that social media apps use to make you
Yeah,
addicted to getting more likes and then doing things that will get you more likes, right? And that can lead to extreme forms of content. But we're not using likes for that. We're using likes simply to say like, hey, these are the things that our users are most. These are the recitations that users are most interested in. We're not counting the likes at the moment. Another thing that we want to implement as well is comments. A lot of times, though, comments can be quite toxic, like with hateful comments. So one of the things that we're considering is you have to upload your own recitation before you can comment on others. So it's
yeah,
like, hey, you have to play in order to play. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you have to play in order to comment on others because it's not fair for you to just not upload any Quran and not really be a part of the process and then to then comment or criticize others, right? So we don't want that kind of behavior. And generally, if someone is someone who wants to share Quran, like they're not going to be hateful in their comments for sure. So this is some of the things that we're kind of thinking about is what does it mean to really create a halal Quran focused social media from scratch in a
mm,
way that is kind of safe for our users. One of the things that I know a lot of parents, like being a parent myself, is all the discussions for parents, especially parents of teenagers, is when do we start our kids on? When do we get them a phone because all their friends are getting phones, and
yeah,
when can they start using social media? And scholars and researchers are saying, hey, no one should be using social media before they're an adult essentially, and that's the safest way to go. But imagine if you could make a social media that is friendly for kids, and that's kind of
mm,
a long-term vision of mine. I did see some young people upload their recitation. I was so inspired by that, and that's so beautiful. And I want that to keep happening, but I want them, of course, to be safe. So that's
yeah,
another important thing. Um, Safe from people harming them or from saying things that will hurt their feelings when they're so young, and not fully mature in how they might respond to things. So this is very important to us as well. So how can we make something that's kid friendly that if and in the back of my mind I'm like, hey, if you get addicted to this, isn't it a good thing? But at the same time you should still be careful with that because it shouldn't take away from other things that's going on in your life. But alhamdulillah, it would be a beautiful thing to say I'm addicted to Quran. And it will only be good for us, with limitations, of course, in moderation.
I think I think I have faith in our community in general and the Muslim community as a whole. With that regard, I feel that there's lots of times where you, as a new reciter, might come to a new group. It might be a physical group I'm talking about, and you're like, "Oh, my recitation's not that good. Are they going to judge me? Are they going to say how have you gotten this old and you don't know how to recite well? What could they say?"
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
So and I think generally as a Muslim community we don't do that because we know we know better. We know that we're all part of this journey, and it is a challenging thing to do at any stage of someone's life. So
and I haven't, I've been sitting in our reading rooms and our community rooms where people are reciting to each other, and I see these beautiful interactions. People are encouraging each other. They're patient with each other. Um, I've not seen any kind of toxicity, and that was been really encouraging because how are you going to log on to a Quran app and be toxic, right? So I think
yeah,
it self selects a bit. It kind of it gets to a point where people are you know, they're sincere about this. They're not just doing this for attention, or they're not just doing this because, it fulfills some need for dopamine or something, but it's actually, I'm doing this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that's a beautiful thing. Alhamdulillah.
100%. And there is, I think, a still little bit of a dopamine element to this. I think you get quite excited to share your own recitation and get feedback from it. Maybe that's other people saying, "Wow, mashallah, what a beautiful recitation," or it's the other way around and getting dopamine from seeing other people recite. Like you said, it's not the worst thing to be addicted to if you're addicted to something, but obviously in moderation. So I think maybe we could discuss what's next on this kind of roadmap from where we started with our recitation rooms and now clips. Where does this lead for the Quranic community? Where does this lead for Quranic as a whole?
In terms of what's next, I think we're going to start catching up with the other social media platforms and what they have. So whether that's having a user profile and having usernames and having these kinds of things that really make it feel like you have a real kind of avatar on this platform, and you can just be. You don't have to be Ahmed the engineer, or Ahmed the teacher, or Ahmed the plumber. You're just Ahmed the reciter of Quran, right? People don't care
Yeah,
about the worldly things. All they care about is how do you serve the Quran. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at, and how can we do that in a way which is respectful of the Quran, and respectful of what people are trying to do.
definitely. And I guess, what about this kind of piece that we discussed a little bit earlier on compiling a whole collection of Quran recitations across the entire Quran from the community? How would that kind of plug into our app, or would that be able to even be viewed outside the app? How do you see this playing in as well?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. So what I had discussed earlier, I mean, one of the visions is, imagine if you could hit play on Surah Al-Fatiha and hear from the recitation of all over the world, from Fatiha all the way to Nas, whether it's surah by surah, or section by section, in a way that's obviously respectful of the Quran. That is the ultimate kind of goal. Is, imagine creating this beautiful collage, or this beautiful, essentially collage of reciters from all over the world, and whether it's from Malaysia or India or America, or Egypt, or wherever in the world people might be, Africa, and see all these beautiful recitations, all people of different languages and colors, all serving the Quran. That's like an ultimate vision of mine. I'm hoping that people do record. I know that a lot of people prefer to record just their audio, which is fine and great, but having the video really just transports you, doesn't it? And I know it can be nerve wracking to record a video of yourself, but I'm hoping that more people do that, because I think that's where the magic is. It's like when you transport, you essentially teleport into this like beautiful immersive like Quran experience, when you see people from around the world reciting Quran, and you're like, okay, what does this person look like? Oh wow, they look, it's like mashallah. There was a beautiful recitation that brother Yusuf uploaded, which I loved so much, and maybe we can show folks that recitation. And he's an elder brother, and he teaches Quranic Arabic, and he's taken our teacher training and all of that, and he's teaching the curriculum. And then he had this beautiful, peaceful, calming recitation,
Yeah,
and I just wish I could listen to more than the 60 seconds that he
yeah,
uploaded, you know so I'm
mashallah.
hoping that we can have, I hope that he can record huge parts of the Quran, and others as well, and I'm really looking forward to that, inshallah.
Definitely. There's such a beauty in that, that we have such a diversity of an ummah, and that we can see that play out in our app. I wish we had like if there was such a thing as a Quranic kind of head office, to have a big billboard on the front with a big world map, and every single user or reciter, a little dot on the map with a
There
little
you go.
picture of those recitations. That would be so
That's
inspiring
actually
to
a
walk
good
past.
idea. Actually, let's do it. Why not?
Yeah, a big billboard. Maybe we don't put it in Times Square or something. We should have a big billboard of every
Yeah,
reciter, and with a dot across the world. And
there
it's
you
weird how
go.
it seems
You're
to
the
be
marketing genius. That's not me.
but I think it sticks to you. It sticks to you as like this brother from. I always know there's a brother from Canada, and I know his whole story because it was so inspiring when he told me it. I know where it's some remote city in Canada, and you just imagine it. You can imagine all of it. You can imagine him, being there and
In
having
an
this all of
igloo.
a sudden connection to the rest of the
Our
world and
Canadian
just
brothers in igloos. Houses made of
Canadian,
ice, mashallah.
exactly how Canadian brothers. It's always, I swear, it's always northern cold regions as well that are the most like
Yeah.
easy to imagine. There's someone remote, and it's an igloo and it's snowing all the time and they can't leave the house and there's no mosque, kind of thing.
Yes. They have
Um,
to. They have to, learn Quran through the internet. Barakallahu feek.
yeah, but mashallah, we even I'm surprised we also have a lot of people residing from Muslim majority countries. Which,
Mm.
in my mind, as someone not in a Muslim majority country, I go, why would you do that? Why? I don't mind.
Mm.
Why would you then go? But their motives are different now. Their motives are this is just an opportunity for me to then reach out to others and coach others. We have, I
Mm.
know, brothers and sisters, and they have such like a coaching approach to this whole thing. They really like
Mm.
someone comes in, they recite for the first time, and they make a mental note of who they are. Then they wait for a few more times. They figure out where their weaknesses are in a good way, where their strengths are, and then they start
Mm.
coaching. And it's like
Mm.
I don't think you'd get this experience in a lot of teaching environments, let alone one that you can pull out of your pocket. So I was quite shocked by that. So inshallah, lots more of that. I'm hoping to have our silent coaches. If any of them listening to this podcast, I'm sure they know who they are. Um, in our comments sections as well, saying really great video. What about this and what about that? In a positive way that people can kind of positively reinforce each other's learning, education, tajweed, and experience with the Quran. This is the beauty of, I think, what it is that we're releasing. And I think the value of all of it goes back to the community itself. Um, so with that, I think I would just like to ask for the community to engage with this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's just on iOS for the minute. And we're looking for people to come on, try it out, test it, upload a video, and share with us your experience. At the end of the day, this is a feature built because of the community to begin with, and it's going to develop with the community and the needs of the community. So I really invite everyone listening to download it. I think the way to download it and actually get on the beta is there's a test flight link to get on the beta, but it's actually released on iOS now anyway, I think, at this point. So, and that way we can share feedback in the settings. There's a reach out to us and you can give us your feedback, positive or negative, and that helps us build a better app, and that helps us build something that works for the community and benefits everyone, inshallah. So I really do invite everyone to get on it. It's on iOS for now. I think we're working on an Android build. When do we kind of anticipate that might be? No, I won't press you to any specifics.
Yeah, I don't have a deadline right now for Android for you, but I do know that right now we're kind of seeing how the iOS one will kind of go and kind of see what are the most important things that we need to implement, and then we'll kind of take
Yeah,
those lessons into whatever we build on the Android app as well.
sounds good,
Because
inshallah.
we are publishing in what's called the native software. So that means like it is the highest quality, but it just takes more time because essentially you're building two separate apps. So you have
Yeah,
iOS developers and you have Android developers. They're separate, essentially separate teams that work together. They build that what's called the back end of the app or the server side of the app together. But then in terms of how it looks on Android, it's completely separate. So there's no kind of overlap there. You have to essentially build it from scratch. So what we kind of do is like, hey, let's release it on one of them, which in this case is iOS. Let's test it out, see how it's going, see how people are using it, what they're really needing, what they're missing, what they don't need, what we did that they didn't need, and then kind of take those learnings to do the Android version as efficient as possible, essentially. Um, yeah.
I guess a question just to clarify for the audience if they're wondering: will both Android and iOS users be able to view the same videos? Will the kind of database be shared?
Yeah, exactly. So the database is shared for everything. It's just the way it works is like the server hosts all the videos, and the server
Yeah,
server is separate from the Apple or the Android what's on your actual phone. So
Gotcha.
what's on your phone is how you kind of see what's on the server. So the server is shared, but what you see on your phone is separate for iPhones and for Android.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing
We
that.
got a full software
Yeah.
lesson there.
Well, it's interesting to kind of see how we've built this and how we're gonna
Yeah.
build this for Android as well. Interesting. I think that's relatively everything. I think we can wrap up. I don't know if there's any other comments, whether you wanted to remind us of that beautiful verse you raised earlier on how we're embodying this Quranic verse into the app.
Yeah, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلم, that the best of you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from them and accept from us and forgive our shortcomings. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the Quran a light for us in our lives and make it a source of guidance for us and make it something that we not only recite but that we also understand, and not only understand but practice in our lives. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the Quran an evidence for us and not against us on the Day of Judgment. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the Quran the best intercessor for us on the Day of Judgment. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us barakah in our rizq and in our family through the Quran, through the barakah of the Quran. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. Assalamu alaikum.